Your Denver Broncos just found a massive silver lining after a game that looked far too close against the winless New York Jets in London. But make no mistake, this win revealed something special about this team. The energy, the fight, and the way they pushed through adversity, it all points toward a bright and promising future for Denver football. Before we go any further, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with your friends. And of course, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Now back to the action. Many fans online seem down on the Broncos right now, but let's look closer. This wasn't just any game, it was what coaches call a kitchen sink game for the New York Jets. Sitting at 0-5, they came out throwing everything they had, fake punts, fourth down gambles, every trick in the book. That's what desperate teams do when their backs are against the wall. And yet, despite all of that, Denver still came out on top. That's the mark of a team growing stronger, a team that's learning how to win in tough environments. Think about it, coming off a huge victory over the Philadelphia Eagles, a team nobody thought we'd beat, the emotional drop-off could have been real. But the Broncos didn't fold. This is the kind of game that older Denver teams might have let slip away. Not this one. This team found a way to grind it out, to fight through the weirdness of London, where the stadium vibe never feels quite normal, with fans wearing random jerseys and the atmosphere just different. Now, your Broncos are sitting at 4-2, tied for the division lead, and more importantly, proving that resilience is back in Denver. Right now, the Denver Broncos are in outstanding shape. Think about where this team stands, just like the Kansas City Chiefs last year, who found ways to win games they probably shouldn't have. The Broncos are starting to develop that same championship trait. Winning close games is what separates good teams from great ones, and that's exactly what Denver has done these past 2 weeks. Both victories came down to a single score, but instead of falling short like they did earlier this season against the Chargers or Colts, the Broncos finished strong. That's real growth, and it's showing. Even the schedule didn't make things easy. Everyone knew this stretch was brutal when it came out: Monday Night Football against the Bengals, then a trip to Philadelphia, and finally across the ocean to London. That's a gauntlet. And yet, your Broncos fought through it, 3-0 in that run, covering more than 5,000 miles and still finding ways to dominate. That kind of resilience says everything about this team's heart. Under Sean Payton, the winningest coach in the month of October, Denver's momentum is building fast. Now, with 4 of the next 5 games at home, the stage is set for something special. The Cowboys just fell to the struggling Panthers. A rookie quarterback is headed to Denver next week. The opportunity is right there, and the Broncos look ready to seize it. And through it all, this defense has been nothing short of historic. You can't help but think back to the legendary Von Miller era and the no-fly zone, not to compare, but to appreciate how this current defense is forging its own legacy, one dominant performance at a time. But my goodness, we might actually need to start comparing this Broncos defense to the greats, because what they're doing right now is absolutely insane. This unit is playing out of its mind. Let's start with Nick Bonito, easily one of the best contracts in professional sports. What he's doing right now is unreal. He's set an all-time record for consecutive games with multiple sacks, and it's not like he's been feasting on weak competition. He's gone up against some of the toughest offensive lines in the NFL, the Colts, Chargers, and Eagles, and still kept dominating. 4 straight games with multiple sacks. That's special. Even Patrick Surtain too gave him a shout-out during the post-game press conference. After his own remarks, he turned to the media and said, "DPO, Defensive Player of the Year." And honestly, he's right. Bonito is playing at that level. Now think about what this defense just did. The Jets' offense, which dropped 32 on the Steelers when TJ Watt was still healthy, and 27 on the Buccaneers' elite unit, could barely move the ball against Denver. They managed just 9 total points, and 2 of those came from a safety. That's total domination. This defense isn't just good, it's feeding families, it's rewriting the standard. The Broncos are on pace to deliver the kind of defensive power we last saw when Denver won the Super Bowl. And that's not some overconfident hometown take, that's just the truth. Just look at the numbers. Justin Fields ended a game with -10 net passing yards. He had as many sacks as completions. The man was seeing ghosts, and he should have been. Because this Broncos defense is flat-out terrifying. This wasn't just one of the worst offensive performances in Jets history, and that's saying something. It was a statement from Denver's defense to the entire league, we're back. This game didn't just expose the Jets' struggles, it went down as the worst passing performance in nearly 3 decades. That's how dominant Denver's defense was. And while Sean Payton has been rewriting streaks all season, this one belongs to Vance Joseph and his defense. They've built a unit that's not only shutting teams down, but still has its best football ahead. Why? Because help is on the way. Dre Greenlaw is set to return soon, and when he does, this defense could reach another level. Denver's already survived matchups against 3 of the best offensive lines in football, and the road ahead gets easier. Meanwhile, Riley Moss keeps improving each week, showing flashes of serious potential. Once Greenlaw is activated, possibly within the next few weeks, the Broncos could be looking at the best defensive lineup they've had in years. Denver recently activated Malcolm Roach, letting him rest an extra week before returning. They might take a similar approach with Greenlaw, especially with the New York Giants coming to town. But whenever he's back, this defense will be terrifyingly complete. Now, let's talk about what they're doing statistically, because it's unreal. The Broncos aren't just on pace to break their own franchise sack record from last year, they're threatening the NFL record itself. The legendary 1984 Chicago Bears held it with 72 sacks. Denver is currently on track for an unbelievable 85 sacks this season. That's not just impressive, that's historic. And to those who doubted whether this team could repeat its defensive success, the Broncos haven't regressed, they've elevated. This group isn't slowing down, it's surging ahead with power, precision, and pride. Denver's defense has already joined elite company, becoming just the 9th unit in NFL history to reach 30 sacks by Week 6. Some teams don't hit that number in an entire year. But this Broncos defense? They're only getting started. Sean Payton was absolutely fired up after that defensive showcase, and rightfully so. He handed the game ball to his defense, a powerful message that said it all. Toward the end of the game, you could sense the shift in his play calling. Some fans might have called it conservative, but it wasn't hesitation, it was confidence. Payton knew this Jets offense wasn't moving the ball on Denver's defense. The mission was simple: close out the win, avoid injuries, and bring that momentum home. And you could see it on his face afterward. A 30-minute post-game press conference, calm, collected, and focused. He knew the offense didn't play its best game, but he also knew this team just finished a brutal 3-week stretch undefeated, 3-0. That's the kind of grit and leadership Denver fans have been waiting for. The numbers speak for themselves. 9 sacks, 15 quarterback hits, 7 tackles for loss, and 4 passes defended. This defense isn't just playing well, it's dominating. And it wasn't just the Nick Bonito show, either. Jonathan Cooper deserves massive credit. He's been sensational, probably the second best defender on this team right now. His explosion off the snap is nearly as quick as Bonito's, and his discipline last week against the Philadelphia Eagles was remarkable. Instead of chasing sacks and leaving lanes open for Jalen Hurts, he stayed patient, contained the pocket, and protected the edges. That's championship-level football. It's players like Cooper who make this defense so special, guys who sacrifice stats for the sake of team success. That's what builds a culture. And there were more silver linings in this one, especially from the offense early on. In the first quarter, we finally saw flashes of what this Broncos offense is capable of. Bo Nix came out sharp, completing 11 of his first 12 passes for 96 yards, commanding the field with confidence and rhythm. It was exactly what Denver fans have been waiting to see: balance, precision, and poise. After that strong opening drive, it felt like the Jets' defense flipped a switch, and the Broncos struggled to adjust. That was frustrating to watch, but it doesn't erase the bigger picture. Because when you step back, there's so much to be excited about with this team. Over the last 2 weeks, we've seen the Broncos prove they can do whatever it takes to win. And that's something we haven't been able to say for a long time. Let's not forget, Bo Nix was a slow starter last year too. The offense didn't click right away, but by the end of the season, he had the 6th most passing touchdowns in football. That same story is unfolding again. You can see him growing more comfortable, more confident, and more in sync with his teammates every week. And speaking of growth, how about Evan Engram? Finally, Denver has a tight end who's a legitimate threat. Over the last 2 seasons, the Broncos ranked near the bottom of the league in every tight end category: receptions, yards, touchdowns, you name it. But Engram has changed that. Healthy and explosive, he's become a matchup nightmare, and even Nix mentioned it himself: when Engram's on the field, defenses have to adjust. Then there's the offensive line situation. With Ben Powers injured, everyone expected Luke Wattenberg or Alex Forsyth to step in. But instead, Matt Peart got the nod, and it didn't go smoothly. A few crucial penalties killed drives and shifted the game's momentum. The good news? The Broncos have options. They could easily slide Quinn Meinerz or Wattenberg over to left guard, and move Forsyth into the center spot without missing much of a beat. This offensive line has depth, and Sean Payton won't hesitate to make those adjustments if needed. So while there were mistakes and frustrations, there's no denying this offense is finding its identity. The chemistry is building, the young stars are stepping up, and the pieces are finally starting to fit together. Right now, the Denver Broncos have options, and that's a great problem to have. If Sean Payton isn't satisfied with how the pocket held up or how the run game performed, he's got multiple ways to fix it. That flexibility shows just how far this roster has come. One major issue that continues to haunt this team, though, is penalties. But even that comes with a silver lining, because it's one of the easiest things to correct. When the Broncos get that cleaned up, this offense will look completely different. We've seen far too many drives stall because of holding calls or false starts. Today was no exception: Pat Bryant's false start, a few unnecessary holds, all momentum killers. Payton hates being behind the sticks, and for good reason. Yet, despite all of that, Denver still stands at 4-2, tied for the AFC West lead, and they haven't even played their best football yet. That's what makes this team so exciting. Now, let's talk about the officiating, because it didn't do the Broncos any favors. There was a critical moment when Denver clearly recovered a fumble deep in Jets territory, already within field goal range. That single play could have shifted the entire score. The runner made a football move before Pat's certain Toos, Peanut Tillman style, punch knocked the ball free, and somehow, it was ruled incomplete. To make it worse, earlier in the game, Troy Franklin had a similar play ruled a fumble, the exact same situation, different call. It's inconsistency like that that drives fans crazy. But even with the calls going against them, the Broncos found a way to win. So here's where we stand: clean up the penalties, get a fair whistle, and this team's ceiling skyrockets. The Broncos are built for a deep playoff run, and they've proven they can battle through adversity, on the road, overseas, and against tough opponents. The rest of the AFC West is struggling to keep up. The Chargers barely survived against a short-handed Dolphins team missing Tyreek Hill. Meanwhile, Denver keeps finding ways to win. This isn't luck. This is momentum. This is belief. And this is the Denver Broncos rising again.